In 1514, Pope Leo X received one of the strangest gifts in church history, a white Asian elephant named Hano, sent by the King of Portugal. It was kept near the Vatican. Within weeks, Rome wasn't talking about politics or war. It was talking about the Pope's elephant. Hundreds came every day just to see Hano, but after only 2 years, the elephant fell ill. His treatment reportedly included a mixture containing gold. Hano died soon after. Pope Leo X was devastated. He ordered a grand state funeral, the kind normally reserved for kings and high clergy, and commissioned artwork to preserve the elephant's memory. If you think that was unusual, papal reactions to the unexpected didn't stop at elephants. In 1456, Halley's Comet appeared in the sky. Pope Callixtus looked up and essentially thought, this must be an Ottoman invasion. He ordered church bells to ring at noon and organized prayer campaigns against the advancing Ottoman forces. Later writers labeled him the Pope who excommunicated a comet, but many historians argue the claim is exaggerated or entirely fabricated. To this day, it remains debated. While that story remains disputed, the next incident leaves far less room for debate. In 1492, Pope Innocent VIII was elderly and gravely ill. Renaissance medicine had a painfully limited understanding of the human body. When a physician proposed a treatment, he suggested the Pope needed fresh blood. The physician reportedly brought in 3 young boys to provide that blood. We don't know exactly how the procedure was carried out. We do know that all 3 children died almost immediately. The Pope briefly survived the attempt, only to die soon after anyway. Many historians consider this the first recorded attempt at a blood transfusion and one of the most tragic. Now let's go further back to the 9th century, a time when church politics were less forgive your neighbor and more stab him with the holy authority. Enter Pope Stephen VI. He decided to wage war on a former pope. Formosus couldn't defend himself because he was very, very dead. Stephen hated him so much that he had his corpse dug up and dragged into court. To make it fair, Stephen appointed a defense lawyer for a corpse dressed in papal robes. During the trial, Stephen shouted accusations, "You were never a real pope. You broke church law. You betrayed the empire." Meanwhile, the corpse just sat there silently. Shockingly, the corpse lost. The verdict wasn't just guilty, it was humiliation. Stephen voided every act Formosus had ever performed as pope. He ordered the blessing fingers cut off. Then, the body was thrown into the Tiber River. The Roman public had limits, and the corpse trial crossed them. Stephen was arrested, imprisoned, and eventually strangled to death. Formosus's body was pulled from the river, buried, dug up again, and finally reburied properly in St. Peter's Basilica. Unlike Stephen and Formosus, the next story is heavily disputed. Most historians dismiss it as legend, but it's too bizarre not to mention. Enter a figure known as Joan Anglicus. Nothing unusual, except, according to legend, he was actually a woman. Pope Joan supposedly disguised herself as a man, rose through the ranks of the church, and eventually became pope. She is said to have reigned for about 2 years. During a public procession in Rome, she reportedly went into labor. In the middle of the street, she gave birth, exposing her identity. According to the story, the crowd turned violent. Both she and the newborn were killed. Some believe this legend led to the creation of the sedia stercoraria, a chair with a hole used to verify the gender of newly elected popes. So to ramp it up, an elephant received a royal funeral, a comet was feared as an Ottoman threat, 3 children were used in a desperate medical gamble, a dead pope was put on trial, and a woman may have ruled the church in disguise. Papal history was more edgy than you think. Subscribe for more weird chapters of history. Bye.